Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending upon where you're calling from. Welcome, everyone, to the Black Founders Forum. My name is Jillian Blackwell. I'm the president of BEN Detroit chapter and the global board member responsible for membership and chapter expansion. I want to thank Anita Lane of Sensei Communications, Anaki with Start Engine, and the members of the Multicultural Employee Research Group for Equity, which stands for MERGE, which includes volunteers from Amazon, Accenture, Denso, Ford, GM, Chrysler, Stellantis, which is formerly Fiat Chrysler Automotives, and Verizon, for collaborating and joining us so we could have this very important discussion. So a bit about Start Engine. Start Engine is the leading US equity crowdfunding platform, which happens to be hosted on AWS. It allows everyday people to invest in startups and supporting companies to raise capital directly from their customers and a large community of over 300,000 plus investors. Start Engine's mission is to democratize access to capital and help entrepreneurs achieve their dreams. $250 million have been raised on the platform, helping to fund 350 plus companies. Now, if you can please read the disclaimer about one of our companies. Awesome. Thank you so much. Now I'd like to take a few minutes to introduce you to our moderator, Afori Agapa. So Afori is the Vice President of People Experience and Technology for Global Customer Fulfillment at Amazon. In his role, he's responsible for the worldwide HR initiatives and goals for over 175 fulfillment centers across 16 countries. The worldwide network of customer service operations leading a team of over 3,600 plus HR professionals. So prior to joining Amazon, Afori was the executive director in human resources of global corporate staffs, which included finance, IT, legal, public policy, and communications for General Motors. What's interesting is he began his career as an intern in 1996 in manufacturing full-size trucks division. So he had advanced in his leadership positions in manufacturing, labor relations, and HR across multiple US sites and countries. Prior to his last role in GM, Afori was the HR executive director for North America, Middle East, and North Africa. A couple of recognitions Afori's received over the last couple of years. He was recognized as the NCAA for his life after the game. In 2016, he was awarded the Rising Star by Automotive News. In 2018, he received several awards: Michigan Chronicle Men of Excellence, Most Influential Blacks in Corporate America by Savoy Magazine, the Louisiana State University Alumni Board of Directors, and in 2020, he was appointed to the Doug Williams Center for the Study of Race and Politics in Sports. Last but certainly not least, Afori was born in the great state of Michigan and now currently resides in Carnation, Washington with his wife of 20 years and 3 children. And I have to tell you that Afori is a member of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. Afori, I'll hand it over to you.
Julia, thank you. Look, Afori Egboka, nice to meet everyone. Look, it's a privilege and honor to be here. I mean, this is fantastic. My resume is nothing on these founders that you're going to get to talk to and meet today. This is just exciting. So, you know, with that, happy Black History Month, everyone. It's a great opportunity for us to gather and reflect. In the midst of that, we want to remind everybody to stay safe. You know, COVID is still real. Take care of yourself, take care of your families. And then when it comes to the weather, you know, many of us are being hit with some very inclement weather around the country, some abnormal weather. Please be safe. So back to this monumental occasion, momentous occasion that we're here to talk about, we're here gathered today to talk about is these founders that are going to enlighten us with some very, very important information about funding and moving forward. So Jillian, thank you to you. Thank you to everybody who's joined us. Again, today we are here to talk about a very important topic of equity as it relates to access for capital for Black and Brown founders, as well as the challenges related to building wealth within the Black community. A key goal of this conversation is to raise awareness to the fact that everyday individuals can now invest in early stage startups. That's huge, which was unallowable before the Jobs Act of 2015. Now, while only 1% of startups receive venture capital funding, these 6 founders, of which you're going to meet today, have found a way to raise a considerable amount of capital from the crowd via crowdfunding exercises that they've lived through. Each is different, is at different stages of their business, in a different sector, providing a different type of product and or service. So as we begin, we're going to start with a series of one-to-ones with each founder. They're going to tell us about their business. They're going to talk about the problem that they're attempting to solve and how they came up with that idea. So while we're in the midst of experiencing this greatness, a reminder again, we are using technology. So as we move through this, if any glitch happens along the way, Jillian's going to jump in and save the day. All right. So with that, we're going to learn, we're going to have some fun. So we're going to first start with founder Dawn Dixon Opagane. So Dawn, please join us on the screen. So Dawn, as I said, tell us your business, what problem you're trying to solve, and again, how you came up with the idea.
Thank you again for having me, and I appreciate all of this and all the founders here today. My company is Popcom, and we build software and hardware for automated retail. So essentially, I started this business in 2017 to solve a problem that I experienced as a retailer when I wanted to sell my own products and vending machines and collect the same level of data that I'm able to collect in an e-commerce environment. At the time, it just did not exist. So we built the software to make vending machines smarter and allow any product to be sold in machines, including alcohol, cannabis, and pharmaceuticals with our technology. And then we created a machine called the Pop Shop that we have a patent on that is a new way to sell products. And it's very cool. So I recommend that you check it out. But this is really, what I like to say is we are like, we do for vending machines what Apple did for the telephone, the cell phone.
Okay, great. Yeah, and hopefully everyone has read the bios of each of our founders. So Dawn's bio clearly indicates you were the first woman in 2019 to raise over $1 million. So kudos to you. So here's a question just specifically tied to you, Dawn. What would you say was your secret to raising over $4.5 million in equity crowdfunding, and how long did it take you to do it?
So I raised that capital over 3 rounds, 2 Reg CF rounds, and I currently have an open round on Start Engine today. And really the secret is community building, constant education. So at the same time where you're, of course, pitching and trying to get investment, you're also educating investors about this new crowdfunding. Many of them never invested in crowdfunding, and many of my investors never invested in anything before. So it was a constant education process to help them understand things like how do returns work, or how does it work when communication, or, what do you do with your shares? How long do you hold your shares? Letting them understand it's not like the stock exchange where you just trade them. So a lot of that education had to happen, and really rallying behind the investors and coming together to do social media blitzes and campaigns, but it really comes down to community engagement.
Okay, awesome. Well, you make it sound easy, but we know a lot of hard work, long days, weekends, and et cetera. So, okay, well, Dawn, thank you for that. So we're going to come back to you when we get back to the total group forum. So thanks. Next founder up is Isaac Hayes III. So Isaac, please join us on the screen. All right, Isaac, a famous namesake, a great man. We're honored to have you with us here today.
Thank you for having me.
Isaac, again, same thing. Start off with your business, the problem you're solving, and how you came up with the idea.
The name of my startup is Fanbase, and it is a social media platform that allows content creators to monetize their content through subscription and virtual currency. The problem that we are solving is most content creators, which is everyone, I consider all of us content creators, we generate this enormous amount of content, and we don't get paid for it. We exhaust our resources with editing software, cameras, our humor, our intellect, all the things that we do, but there's really not a return. And most of these platforms use our collective community to run ads and make billions of dollars, and they don't return any of that money to the content creator. So I founded the company in 2018, and it was really off the premise of two things. I come from the music business, and there was a brief time between 2011, 2010, and 2012 that mixtapes were a huge part of the music industry. And you had so many artists giving away free music, just for the chance for that one song to catch and then get a record deal. But in the process, they were throwing away tons of copyright for free. And I feel that content space with content creators who are doing TikTok and Instagram and all these platforms, they're doing the same thing. They're getting their friends together, they're shooting videos, they're doing dances, and they're just giving all this stuff away for free in hopes that they have a big enough following to become famous or get an acting role and stuff like that. And so the inspiration came from this one content creator from Memphis, goes by the name Ghetto Spider. He was dancing on social media in a GameStop, and Ta'aha Take on Me and went viral. And I reached out to him from Memphis, and I was like, hey, congratulations. And he was panicked. And the first thing he asked me was, are you a manager? I need a manager. Like, I have no idea basically what I'm going to do with this viral moment that I have. And I was thinking, this kid doesn't own the Spider-Man costume. You know, he really has no way to monetize that, but he should be able to monetize his dancing. And so that was the birth of Fanbase and how we could, you know, monetize content for creators.
So you saying we need to thank God for Ghetto Spider, huh?
Absolutely.
All right. So look, you sound like you solving a real problem. Not being paid for your talents is a big problem. So thank you for that. So Isaac, question is, tell us how you went about transforming your passion into this platform.
I was fortunate to be aligned with some great technologists, some great coders and engineers. And it took a while, but it was really just merging my vision in a way that allowed people to not feel so locked out. There are platforms that allow people to monetize their content, right? There are currently some that do that, but that's all you do. And so when you're there to look at this content, once you look at it, there's nothing else left for you to do. There are no communities, right? And social networks are built off communities. And so we were able to really take the best of both worlds. We were able to take a free environment where you can follow people for free, but at the same time, you can subscribe to a content creator that you say, I want to see what else they have behind the magic wall or whatever they decide to monetize. And so it was just the combination of building both of those together, because I want everybody to understand and be clear. We're all content creators. If you take a picture while you're on vacation, eating food and you're a foodie, you're a content creator. And you might discover that you have a knack for taking great vacation photos, or you're funny, or you're really good at taking food photography. And you can turn that into a passion and a business to make money from. So that's really how we developed and built the product, with the people in mind, for sure, that can say, hey, look, we need to monetize our content and make money.
Awesome, awesome. Content creators. We all are content creators. All right. And you've proven that with raising over $2.7 million. All right. So you know what you're talking about. You know what you're talking about. So thank you, sir. All right. Next founder, Dr. Ahmad Glover. Dr. Ahmad Glover. Tell us about yourself, sir, and your innovations.
All right. So I'm going to talk about my elevator real quick. So Wiggle, wireless electrical grid local area network, happens because we all live by these things, right? We all live by our mobile devices. And so wireless electrical grid local area network, Wiggle, is all about getting you power the same way that you get Wi-Fi. So this was birthed from my time in the Air Force. I was doing all kinds of things with acquisitions, particularly with special operators, and having to get tests on different waveforms and classified systems. And every single time we do a demo, batteries would die on some kind of device. I don't care whether it was for satellites or UAVs or things in the field. Hey, we've got a full stop. The batteries died on this thing. This was crazy. So finally, after I retired, I said, I'm going to go look up some of those smart guys, and we're going to solve this dang gum battery problem. And so we birthed this concept of Wiggle that allows you to basically log on the same way you would log on to Wi-Fi and get power, recharge your device wirelessly. So that's Wiggle, and that's what we do, how we came up with it.
Nice. Staying, getting power. And first of all, thank you for your service, and how you transferred that into power. It's good to know Wiggle ain't just about dancing, it's about getting some juice, right? All right. Yeah. So look, tell us how you managed to transition from a government employee to a government vendor?
I have no idea. So what happened, right? I retired from the Air Force. Luckily, I think I may have either did some good work or not pissed off the wrong people. And so I got a phone call one day, and they said, "Hey, we want you back." And so I went from being a active duty employee of the government for a long time to being able to sell the government some of the smarts and services that they trained me to do. So.
All right, use that education and put it to work. All right. So where do you see the future of this industry?
So wireless power is the future of everything, right? Mm-hmm. So, we look at IoT, the Internet of Things. And so very quickly, Alexa or Siri is already telling us, hey, you're out of milk in the refrigerator, or the light bulb's going to go bad in the bathroom, right? Everything is interconnected and it's smart, and it's feeding us on, right? I'm sitting here with a gaggle of mobile devices, right? It's feeding us all this information on our mobile devices. But right back to my time in the Air Force, the thing that's killing us is access to power. So the wireless power industry is kind of the next S curve. It's the next innovation. It's the new frontier, and folks are fighting feverishly to get into this space.
Right. We're talking about power, not the TV show, right? We're talking about real power. All right, good stuff. All right. Thank you, Dr. Mott. So let's go to founder Chloe Cheyenne. Chloe, talk to us, Chloe, about your business and how you came up with the idea.
Hey, everybody. Thank y'all for having me. I'm Chloe. I'm the founder and CEO of Community X, which is a new social network for social good. We refer to ourselves as a coalition building tool that allows like-minded change makers to be able to connect with one another around common causes, build communities, and mobilize around calls to action. What our algorithm aims to understand is who you are, where you are, and what you care about. And then we build your experience on our mobile app based on those attributes.
Awesome. So Chloe, with your bio, it reveals that your organization started from, let's let you talk about it. So let me ask it this way, Chloe. Yeah. Briefly walk us through the incident that changed your family forever, that inspired you to launch Community X.
Yeah, so I'm actually originally from Chicago, so the Midwest too. I went to Howard School of Business for undergrad, graduated with a full-time offer to Google, and I was working there for a few years when I got the initial idea for this product. And it was shortly after Mike Brown Jr. was murdered in Ferguson, because I'm multiracial myself, but my dad is Black, and he's a survivor of an extreme case of police discrimination that left him permanently handicapped with a bullet still lodged in his spine to this day. My dad grew up on the south side of Chicago, and similar to how Breonna Taylor was murdered, Chicago police raided my grandmother's townhome unannounced and opened fire on my dad over a dozen times, only to realize that they had the wrong address and it was a case of mistaken identity, attempted to cover that up by planting drugs in his top drawer of his bedroom dresser, physically assaulting him after shooting him, not calling an ambulance. So by the time he actually made it to the hospital, he was in such critical condition that doctors told my family he wouldn't make it, operated on him anyways, stabilized him, ended up saving his life. But by the time he was finally able to leave the hospital, not only did he have to start a lifetime of physical rehab where he had to learn how to walk again, regain all of his motor skills, but he was also fighting for his innocence in court against the city of Chicago until I was 10 years old. And so I really grew up face to face with social justice issues, particularly police brutality and discrimination for my family. And when I saw what happened to Mike Brown Jr. and his family, it obviously affected me emotionally like it did us all. But the question that I really asked myself was, how do I connect with other people who care about these issues like I do? And what's the central platform that we can all go to unite and mobilize for change? Found that didn't exist. And so I resigned from my position at Google and went out to found Community X.
Wow. Such bravery. And again, I know your father's proud of you, and I hope he's doing well, but just amazing and tragic situation. But I'm glad you've taken it and you're doing something to help the greater community. And with that, let me ask you a question. How, maybe you touched about it with Michael Brown, but how has the Community X platform helped to impact change? And maybe Michael Brown was your example, but maybe you have another.
Yeah, so we were actually beta testing throughout H2 of last year. We did help a lot with the election, so the general election and then the Georgia runoffs as well. We just took our app off of the stores because we're getting ready to do a big relaunch next month, which is really exciting. So that relaunch is going to include a new petition feature, a totally new design, and right now, we're actually inviting everybody to go to the website, communityx.tech, to vote for their causes that they want to see represented on the platform. And from there, we're going to be onboarding organizations like different chapters of BLM, the Women's March, Anti-Recidivism Coalition, and a whole bunch of activists across the space who have been waiting for this new app to launch. So we're really excited to see what the impact is going to be after March.
Awesome, awesome. All right, thank you, Chloe. Awesome.
Thank you.
All right, look forward to learning more about you, and we have the group course dialogue as well. So our next founder is Tamar Blue. And Tamar, you're in well, let's let you introduce your organization to us. Tell us about Mental Happy.
Hi, everyone. I'm very happy to be here. Thank you so much for
Yep.
spending this afternoon with us or morning or wherever you are from home. So Mental Happy is a network that matches individuals with other individuals within a positive peer support group. Individuals are able to really find a niche of other peers who are experiencing a similar life events that they're going through. So whether you are kind of like me right now in my family, we're navigating being a support giver to my mother-in-law, or whether you're navigating divorce or an injury or illness, you're able to find a network of other individuals who are going through the same thing that you can leverage information from. And then also within that community, within your peer support group, there are health professionals that offer really great practices for emotional wellness, and moderators that help to keep the group safe.
Awesome. Great. So it seems like you couldn't have found a better time to launch Mental Happy. So how has the pandemic affected your business, and what has the response been to Mental Happy?
Yeah, the pandemic created what's called as just a convenient opportunity for us at the beginning. We had actually just started working on building this peer support group app at the top of the pandemic. We were kind of going out and pitching our idea at the time to investors, which was a pivot from a wellness product that we had built that was very successful. We actually got accepted to Y Combinator because of it. Investors were not were not interested in what we're doing, despite all of this growing waitlist demand that we had. By the time we were pitching it at the start of the pandemic, we had a wait list of over 5,000 people. And when we went to Start Engine, they were the ones willing to kind of give us a chance. They saw that we built this tremendous wellness-based community on Facebook of over 100,000 people. We told them our idea about doing that again and growing it to millions of people. And we started the crowdfunding campaign that we still have a round open now. And it's been tremendous. We've just found just the very best wellness professionals, and really onboarding those individuals onto our platform now.
All right, great. Thank you, Tamar. All right, our next founder is Ray Phillips.
Hello, I'm here.
All right, go ahead, Ray. We can hear you.
All right, perfect. You guys, and the sound is good. My name is Ray Phillips, obviously. My company is Soap Socks. Soap Socks, we like to call them the next generation of washcloths for kids. So just think of an adorable hippo or shark. It looks like a plush character. They're specifically designed for the bathtub, meaning that a kid can open the hippo or shark's mouth, feed them liquid soap, and turn bath time into a fun time between parent and child. I previously worked as a program director at a group home for kids where a child refused to take a bath because he couldn't take his favorite stuffed animal into the bath. And so I did what most parents do. You think outside the box to get you through it. And Soap Socks was born. So Soap Socks is our product.
Very good. So Ray, another unique thing about you is you happen to be on Shark Tank. Many of us watched that and seen people go through that gauntlet. So, tell us how well did you do And what were your thoughts coming out of Shark Tank in 2014?
Yeah, absolutely. Shark Tank, I have to give those guys credit. Everything you see is real. Nothing is rehearsed. It was a great experience. And it really increased our brand awareness. We went on looking for seed money, like a number of companies do. And we had our numbers in mind, and we had the particular people in mind that we want to do a deal with. Damon, if you're here, shout out to you. We want to do a deal with you. But Mr. Wonderful may not like that. But unfortunately, it didn't work that way. The good news is that they offered, after us being a year in this space, they offered to buy us out for $1 million. We thought about that as a great opportunity, but ultimately it wasn't for us. We were playing the long game, and I wanted to build a brand and build a company. And so we respectfully declined. And so our experience on the show was a positive one, to say the least.
Okay, great. Thank you, Ray. Yeah, because you've raised over $1 million yourself, so you don't need it from one person. You know how to get it done. So with that, look, we've got the founders here who are going to teach us how this works, give us their insight. So I'd like to ask each founder to join us for the full panel to talk more about these issues of equity as it relates to accessing capital and building wealth. And it's important that, and please note again, that these 6 founders are all raised this money and scaled their business during a global pandemic. That says a lot about them. So let's jump into the discussion. So you leaders, founders, you choose to jump in where you like, but would anyone like to share the thoughts that were going on in your head that led to you making the decision to start your organization during a pandemic?
I'll jump in. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. Ray, go ahead, please.
All right. Well, Don, it has everything to do with you. When I first came into this space in terms of considering even working with Start Engine and thinking outside the box, I, like a number of entrepreneurs, were like, wow, I think we have a lot of opportunity. We have traction, but we don't have the money to grow. And my experience was unique, though. I would go around the country into different boardrooms, and most cases I would be told a gentle no, we're not investing in this type of product, we're not ready. And so I had to find other creative ways to bring my goal of turning it into a company a reality, SoapSox into a company. And so I visited a Start Engine meeting, and Dawn was there. Dawn was on stage doing what she does best and sharing good information about her experience, about the trials and tribulations of an African-American man or person of color trying to raise money in this space, and they're really real challenges. And so we stepped aside and I talked to her for a little bit, and she just gave me some insight as well as some deeper motivation and some guiding principles and things that I should do to get the courage to take the next step and successfully raise. So hats off to Dawn.
Right. Dawn?
Thanks a lot, Ray. I didn't start during the business during the pandemic, but we definitely launched our second Reg CF right when it started, and it was a very uncertain time, and we had to, it was a very uncertain time. We had to move our supply chain from China to the US, and communicating the delays with our previous investors from our first Reg CF, because we were supposed to have launched the product in 2020, but then COVID set us back. So it goes back to just community building and transparency, because what I found is investors are so understanding and they're patient if you tell them really what's going on. If something's not going according to plan, if something goes wrong, just communicate that with them. If you're delayed, just communicate that with them. If you were supposed to push a software update and you raise money for it, or you lost a team member, and that's what the community building is all about, because the Start Engine investors are really our #1 advocates. We launched a program just this week, and we asked our investors to post, and we had over 200 of our investors willing to share on social media for us. So the pandemic caused us all to pivot and rethink our businesses. But I do think it was also a great time for just the community in general to have time to sit back and take a look at all the opportunities available, because they had to be at their houses and they had to be in front of the computer more.
Okay.
I would just add, I think another thing worth mentioning is the obvious effect that the pandemic had on jobs and the economy, and just the fact that you could, for us, we were in the middle of a roadshow asking for a 10K minimum investment in our round, but the fact that we were able to pivot and build a campaign on Start Engine for a minimum of $150 had a really big impact for us as well.
All right. With that, look, let's pivot to the next question. That's, again, along the same theme. So what do you all believe are the biggest challenges for assessing capital for founders in the Black and Brown community?
Mm.
So I can tell you, I got an invite to a couple of very wealthy investors, only to get that soft no that Ray talked about. I mean, I'm talking about in the middle of a pandemic, driving a few hundred miles to go sit on someone's back patio for them to go through everything from my mother's middle name to why I wear my hair this long, to get a soft no and a kiss on the forehead and told, drive home carefully. So Start Engine for me was a godsend because access to capital for me, retired Air Force guy, disabled veteran, all of everybody saying because of Black Lives Matter, oh, there's money everywhere. There's not money everywhere. So I can tell you it was a godsend because it is amazingly difficult to access capital from people who promise capital to you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Isaac, like you want to say something. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I would just add the fact that the accredited investor rule is really a big problem, right? It was a big problem. People don't understand that to invest in seed stage companies and private companies, you had to be an accredited investor up until 2012. And that means you had to have a net worth in excess of $1 million minus your primary residence or make over $200,000 a year. And that rule had been in effect since 1933, all the way up to 2012 till the Jobs Act got created. And so you have to think about the amount of opportunity missed by poor people, people of color, Black people, women throughout, this country that never had a chance to throw $5,000 into an Uber, right? And then have it turn into $24 million. And that rule is in place, they say, to protect the investor, right? Which I think is a little BS in my opinion, because you don't have to be an accredited investor to go spend $10,000 on lottery tickets. You don't have to be an accredited lottery ticket purchaser or an accredited gambler in Vegas, right? And so the Jobs Act really paved the way for companies like Start Engine to find that niche to be able to allow people to invest in your company regardless of their net worth and their income. And so we have mostly over 4,000, mostly African-American investors who are first-time investors who get a shot at joining, into seed stage companies like mine that can maybe be part of a unicorn and have that success story about how they invested small and it led into a big return. So I think that rule was just, a really roadblock to having access to capital.
Yeah, to Isaac's point, I would just say, like, the way I always talk about it to my team is, like, you have all of these startups that are mainly founded by white Ivy League educated men who then bring in their friends to join them as co-founders or CTO, whatever, and then bring in their other friends to join them as investors. And then they build these companies and they IPO, and those are all of the people that are benefiting off of the success of that company. But what people don't think about is the fact that the actual people that make up the user bases that build the value of those businesses are people like us, like Black Twitter, for instance. But how many of us benefited from the IPO of Twitter, and how many of us are still, having to really push Twitter to push on their DNI and hire us at the corporate level? And so I think, this really does, it democratizes the opportunity. And so when you see that next generation, that next wave of startups IPOing and exiting, there's a real potential for the people who benefit from that success to not only be us as users, but us as investors.
Wow.
Yeah, I definitely echo what Chloe is saying. I think the common misconception that the equity crowdfunding campaign allowed me to see is that, people of color don't have much disposable income, or they won't be interested in anything that's not a Gucci bag or sneakers or things of that nature. And that is so not true. One of the things that we did initially with our campaign is that we just strategically targeted. I'm in the Bay Area. I'm based in San Francisco. I live here, and I strategically just pitched myself and my equity crowdfunding campaign to people of color in these tech companies. And I got to tell you, you'd be surprised how many of them have like an extra 2,500 or an extra 5K, an extra 10K to invest in the campaigns. I think what's unfortunate is that we're not given the opportunity to know about these things. And it's refreshing for them to have the opportunity. They felt honored that, I even asked in a cold LinkedIn email, would they invest in the company? And two, for me, it's as a Black founder, it's refreshing, and it takes the edge off just talking to someone that isn't going to give you that soft kiss on the head, a pat on the back, and just find some feedback as to why you're not a fit. Well, if the stats are that less than 1% of us get the money, then it doesn't matter what the feedback is as to why you're not a fit. The odds are you weren't going to get the money anyway at 0.0006 or whatever it is. So it's very refreshing to find people who look like us, who care about our causes and want to support what we support.
Very good. What you would, Tamar, what you said is tied to our next question. That's about what the typical Black or brown founder has experienced. So in the Black community, receiving $50,000, $100,000 or more from family, friends, and fans to help launch a business is not the typical experience that maybe some of you have had. So having said that, how has Start Engine helped your business, and what advice would you give to other Black founders as it relates to raising capital for the crowd?
Can I jump in with this one? Because I do have an answer for this, but I thought Tamar did a fantastic job at just really highlighting what you led into in terms of visibility, right? For us to be able to see other Black founders and utilize that network, and then have the Black community see that there are a number, and there's a whole host of other founders and CEOs of companies outside of us, but from a startup perspective, there's a small group, and Start Engine raises our visibility so that us as Black founders, we can spread the news and information about our companies, our various companies on this platform, and then more Black folks tell other Black folks, and it really, I think, levels the playing field in the way in which being an entrepreneur is an uphill battle anyway. There's trials and tribulations with just being an entrepreneur in general. Unfortunately, there's a few extra hurdles if you're a Black entrepreneur. That's just the reality of it. But what Start Engine has done for me, and what this group of other entrepreneurs has done for me, is help raise our visibility. We raised on Start Engine. We now have a partnership with Amazon. And I don't think that would have been realized as quickly as it did without people seeing us and knowing that, hey, SoapSox is what? There's a Black founder who started SoapSox, and this is their compelling story. And there's just other opportunities that come with a platform like Start Engine that raises all of our visibility so that the community knows we're here and that we are looking for that support, and they can give it.
To add to that, I'll use a little bit of like terminology that I take from the music business. When you are raising venture capital, in my experience, just dealing with VCs, it's like signing to a record company. The terms usually aren't favorable. They put up the money. They want the lion's share of the profit in some way, shape, or form. It really can jeopardize, your ability to grow your business down the line. With a platform like Start Engine, I call it going independent. It's like selling shares of your car. It's like taking it straight to the people that want to invest in your brand and your business, and depending on how well you crafted your business and the work that you've done. I think it's a bigger benefit, and the way that I was handled by Start Engine as a founder, I think was really, really good, because it made me learn aspects of my company that I did not know. And if I would have trusted a VC to do that, I would not have had all this information that I had to learn just by being part of the platform. This rigorous, very detailed process, I think makes you learn about your company in ways that you wouldn't learn if you just got money from a VC.
Powerful. Okay. Anybody else want to weigh in on that piece of how Start Engine has helped your business?
Yeah, I would say the process I was telling a friend of mine, it really prepares you. If IPO is like your goal one day, it really prepares you for what that possibility is like, because you have to be extremely communicative, very transparent with your financials. And to Isaac's point, there are intricacies about my financials that I didn't understand had I not gone through that process with Start Engine and their due diligence process. So you do grow as a CEO in general.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So next question. So if we are truly to see economic advancement within Black and Brown communities, what is the best thing to do? What's the best way about going to do that? What do you all say? What's the first step?
So I think we're all in it, right? So the key for Black America, right? I'll kind of give a shout out to Dr. Claude Anderson. Is assets, right? We have to collectively as a people have more assets that we can hand off to someone, death, graduation, whatever that is. Start Engine gives us that opportunity, right? Because I'm a founder and I'm on Start Engine with Wiggle, but I'm also an investor on Start Engine, right? I think, Isaac and Ray and Tamar, and I think everybody's kind of said, right? I'm also seeing some of these things that I say, hey, these are great opportunities that, to Chloe's point, if these things IPO, I want to be part of that early investment group. And that's what I think is what we collectively as a people have to do, is begin to shift our minds away from shiny objects and into more assets that are transferable.
I love it. I love it. Who else? Wisdom. Share some more wisdom.
I think I've been talking a lot, so I'm going to dial it back after this. But I think there are a number of Black entrepreneurs, Black folks, people of color who are thinking the long game, and that's where I think it's invaluable. The long game, knowing that there may not be an immediate return in 2 years or 3 years. However, that long-term investment and you staying the course and you helping those Black founders in any company in particular, but specifically those founders that you are with in the beginning, staying with them to see them rise and to reach those new heights. We do it collectively, and then those assets don't get sold off. They get reinvested back into the community. And us, and our responsibility as founders is to help the next line of entrepreneurs that are coming down the pipeline, to make them aware of the hazards, to make them aware of the do's and don'ts, and then to support them, not just by introductions, but financially supporting them and giving them the resources so they don't make the same mistakes we made, and help them reach their goals. And we perpetuate that. That has been huge. And I think that the group of people who've come before us, or before me specifically, have done that. And that's allowed us to get this far. And we got work to do on our own as well.
Dawn, I think you wanted to share something.
No, I really just, echo what everyone said. I was actually sitting here thinking, and I typed in the chat, this is great, because I remember in 2018, when I was getting started on my journey with Start Engine, I did not have anyone to talk to, no support. There was no forums like this to learn. So this is just an amazing opportunity for everyone in this chat who is joining us today to get the inside look and see what really have to go through. Because like everyone said, the due diligence was something that I did not anticipate or expect. But when you thought about your question about just how do we create that or close that economic gap, this is it. This is just everyone continuing to rally behind early stage companies while at the same time, just spreading your net wide. Like, I'm a tech company, but Start Engine has many types of companies. So I always say, just check out all the great offerings and be open-minded to try something different and understand, like Ray said, it's a long game.
Mm-hmm. You know what? We're going to open up to the audience. Dawn, just want to tie a question to what you just shared. What did you find is your biggest hurdle to getting where you are now?
The knowledge barrier. The biggest hurdle was just, again, when I started in 2018, the Reg CF was new. The law was passed 2012. It went into effect in 2016, and Start Engine is a startup as well. So everyone was just figuring out the law as we went. Then the law changed a few times, and we were just, again, sometimes being the first and being early, you learn all the hard lessons and you make all the mistakes, you have all the pain points. But I just love to see that it's not taking people 6, 7, 8 months like it took me initially to get my offering. And that was literally on me. Like Tamar said, I didn't deeply understand my financials. I didn't understand being GAAP compliant, and I wasn't handling my finances correctly in order to scale my business. And I learned that during the start into due diligence process. And now, like Tamar said, I'm in the position where if it ever got to the point to IPO, we know what to do. Our financials are set up accordingly. We're very organized and we keep very diligent records because now we're on our third crowdfunding round. So I think the biggest challenge was like, you don't know what you don't know until you realize like, oh, wow, I don't even know this. And then you have to learn it right in the middle during everything going on and still keep a smile on your face and don't let everybody know you're literally falling apart on the inside.
Perseverance and knowledge. I love it. All right. So Jillian, I think you want to read out some questions that have come from the audience. So I'll turn it over to you.
Absolutely. So we have several questions coming in. One question is, were the fees, well, let me ask this question first. Do you need a securities lawyer to assist in filing on StartEngine? Anyone can answer that question. Do you need a securities lawyer to assist in filing on StartEngine?
We didn't
I don't
use
know
one.
if it's a requirement, but I think you should have one in general for your company to advise. But again, it depends on how you're raising money. I raised $1 million from VC and angels and went to crowdfunding. I had safes open. I had convertible notes I had to convert. So having a securities attorney as you scale is really important to understand your cap table and manage your cap table. But I don't think it's a requirement. I know Dr. Glover was going to speak, but I don't think it's a requirement.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with Don. So here was my challenge, right? So we started with everybody you can imagine, right? We went and we're throwing money at everybody because, as Don put it, I had no idea what the heck I was doing. And so, so we had attorneys on board only to find out, I think, again, as Don mentioned, none of them had any idea of what Reg CF was. And so they were giving me all of this advice and I'm paying all this money and they were telling me, well, wait a minute, what are they telling you at StartEngine? And I would send them, show them what, and they said, well, no, you got to do this. And I'm going, wait a minute, stop. So we didn't end up using an attorney to go through our StartEngine process because we found out that there weren't many who kind of understood what the Reg CF was. And hopefully I'm unique like everybody else. StartEngine was wonderful in holding my hand, holding me accountable. If I gave them the wrong rock, they said, go get another rock. So that worked really well for us.
Yeah, I was just going to echo that. The StartEngine was great. They're familiar with Reg CF. They have the attorneys, the CPAs, everyone you need because they do it over and over again. And they held our hand and walked us through it. And Lord knows, some days I didn't know which way was up, but we navigated through it with their help. And we were better for it.
And Don said something about like scaling as you scale, making sure your documents are together. I think a lot of startup founders are afraid of the attorney's fees and costs. I mean, that's something, we can't give you advice on that. It's something you kind of have to know for your own business. But one thing in our experience, I will say is that for us, it was personally worth it to pay a little bit more money to attorneys on the back end to, kind of rectify these documents, kind of straighten them, fix them back up, get signatures and things of that nature, just so that we can like move fast and move quickly. But that's my personal experience. I don't, I'm not advising anyone of that. I'm just sharing.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I see a lot of questions coming in chat. If you can move your questions over to the Q&A section. So we have a overall question that we keep hearing. Will the recording be available to those registers? Absolutely. We'll make sure the information is available to you. We had a question. Can we still invest in Soapbox and Fanbase? I just checked StartEngine and they are closed. Can someone address that? Soapbox and Fanbase.
So Soapbox we were just talking to StartEngine. Yeah, no problem. Don't you worry about it. We were just talking to StartEngine yesterday. So yes, we are going to enter back into the fray. We've come across a unique set of opportunities with Amazon, which we're excited about, and Walmart. And so we'll be, we will be doing the next stage and getting back on StartEngine shortly.
Awesome.
Same right now. My raise is oversubscribed by the tune of 1.7 million, but you can continue to invest.
That's not a bad problem.
Yeah, no, you can continue. You can continue.
Too much money.
You can continue to join the wait list. I know that there's some new laws that are taking effect shortly, and I think the opportunity will be there for people to continue in that, and those dollars will, those investments will be accepted at some point. But yeah, continue to invest. Startengine.com/fanbase. Check us out. We'd love to have you on the cap table and part of the company.
Awesome. Awesome. Question came in. Any great info on connecting with foreign investors, considering that capital is more global?
I actually typed the answer to this, so I was just like looking in the Q&A.
Okay.
But for me, and anyone, please correct me if I'm wrong or have any more information, but we have investors from 15 countries currently through Start Engine, and we really got those investors through running targeted ads on Facebook, which also translated to Instagram for communities that invest and that span out to many different countries. But we did targeted ads based on their interests, and that's how you can engage investors from around the world.
Awesome, Dawn. Thank you. Question for women on the panel. What can Black or brown women do to support each other as opposed to competing against each other, essentially fighting over the scraps in order to gain greater success for self and community?
I don't think we fight. I'm in a really great group called Visible Figures, and Dawn is in the group too. And we share leads all the time. Like we have like a leads investor spreadsheet that kind of floats around, and people ask all the time, like, hey, can you make an intro for me? Like Dawn, we've also taken in some really great institutional money from companies and things of that nature. So I don't think we compete. I do think these groups are very helpful, and now more than ever before, because there are so many of us who are doing, like Dawn, raising over the $1 million through equity crowdfunding. So many Black women also raising, through the regular angel and VC route. I think now more than ever before, we're opening doors for one another. I mean, Dawn, what do you think?
I echo that. I mean, people ask me that all the time, and I just have not experienced that. I've known Tamar for a long time. She's always been supportive, but you have to keep in mind, everybody, especially when it comes to the Black founders and the women, we were such a small group, like even 5 years ago, 6 years ago. It's exploded. So we literally knew all the Black founders, it felt like, at that time. And so we had to stay close because we were really all that we had. We had to work together. We have to all win, because keep in mind, there is a thing called pattern matching. So I need every Black founder to win, so that the pattern that says that Black founders aren't the right people to invest in or aren't where you place your bet, I want to prove that wrong. And we all want to prove that wrong, because as each founder does well, we have 6 Black unicorns now. That hadn't happened. Each of us, as we each grow and do better, it just reflects on all of us. It shows people like, hey, when given opportunity and preparation and money, we can do just as well as anyone else. So the Black women have always supported me. And whoever asked that question, if you are feeling like women are against you, get out of that circle and get out of that group, because those are not the people that you need to even be associating with at all.
Awesome. I think I want to go ahead. Go ahead, Corey.
Dawn, I like how you talked about getting in that circle without the circle. So if we magnify this circle a little bit bigger and just say within the Black community, nobody else. Question is tied to the Black community for all our founders. What do you believe are our biggest barriers to wealth within building in the Black community?
Well, let me say this. I want to use a little bit of the last question and some of this question. There are 3 Black women that were instrumental in me being successful in Start Engine, and one of them is in this room, which is Dawn Dixon. The other is Angela Benton, who has raised $1 million on Start Engine, and another one by the name of Monique Idolette. And I think the ability in our community to pay it forward and share information about this process and this opportunity to raise capital in this fashion, I think is important. We have to really be our biggest cheerleaders and supporters. And so even since my raise, I have directed people to Start Engine to crowdfund in that fashion. And so without those 3 women, without Dawn's tutelage Angela's introduction and Monique's suggestion, I wouldn't be here. And so as Black women and as the Black community, just paying that information forward and being generous with our information and our efforts to see each other win, being fans of everything that we all do. I'm a fan of Popcom. I'm an investor in Popcom, supporting each other's companies. That's how you do it. I mean, it's really just, supporting each other and wanting each other to win in the way that we can win.
So I'm going to say our biggest barriers are two: access to information and trust of the information. I'll say that because, like everybody else has said here, you get so much bad information, and it's just really bad. And it's somebody told somebody, and then you get the phone game, and by the time you get it, you try to act on it, and you spend a little research, and realize it's just noise. And then trust, right? And so then you do find out good information. You got so many experiences of the bad that you just don't want to use it. I cannot tell you how many people that I have begged to go to Start Engine because they've got amazing products, amazing talent, but they've been fed so much bad information that it's hard to get them to see through. And sadly, maybe it's just me, I've learned that I can't push them. I have to wait for them to be at the right moment in the right time in their experience to be ready to move forward. And things like Start Engine, I think, are helping. Isaac doesn't know this, but a person in my office works for me. I was starting Start Engine, was going through the process. She came in and said, "Hey, there was a guy on the radio today. And Isaac Hayes Jr., Isaac Hayes III, Isaac Hayes." I said, whoa. And she said, "He was on Start Engine. Weren't you talking about Start Engine?" And so I looked up his company. And by the time she got from her drive to the office, he had already oversubscribed. And so that really motivated me to, hey, folks had told me about it, and I need to move faster, right? This guy went from on the radio, "Hey, I've got this thing and I want to raise capital," to her 30-minute drive to work. He had already maxed out. So, we've just got to keep educating and access and building that trust, I think, within our community.
We also can't be intimidated, because this process, once you see what's in front of you, Start Engine, a lot of people get intimidated. You have to know your business. Like everybody just can't, I think everybody just can't raise capital. There's a certain amount of due diligence on your part as a founder that you have to do, because I've had friends of mine in this space that are in the crowdfunding space that do similar things in other companies. And they say a lot of times with the Black community, they start the process and never finish it because it seems so intimidating. And so that's another thing, is with these companies, you really have to really dig in and make sure that you understand the business and don't be intimidated. Because at first, like I said, the first couple meetings with Start Engine, it was like, "Look, we gonna need this, and this. Can you do it?" And not knowing whether or not I can do it or not, of course I'm gonna say yes. But in that process, it really puts a fire under you. And of course you can do it. And that's the thing, just get past that level of intimidation, because it's not just as simple as, "Hey, hook me up with Start Engine, I'm gonna start raising money on Tuesday." It don't work like that. There's a process. And so really understanding your business and understanding, what you're going to be up against in this process, to really understand that you can't BS it. You got to know your company, and it'll work out fine.
Isaac, can I jump in on that? Because I think one of the things for me too is, one, I walked into it being intimidated, and I'm not a small dude, and it's not about physical stature. I think I'm relatively smart, and so I think I have the mental capacity to do it, but not seeing anyone up there who looked like me added another layer to it. And so that's why it was so refreshing when I saw Dawn. I was like, "My peoples," and she was real. And then I saw other Black entrepreneurs. I was like, okay, I'm a dude from the city. Like, I know how to hustle, I know how to grind, but also I can go into a corporate meeting with Disney, and I can do all these other things. And so let me not be intimidated by it. Let me give myself that positive self-talk and say, "Hey, I got through college. That was tough. I got through 3 kids. That was tough. I can do this. So let me start on this journey and commit to myself that I'm not going to quit." And that's why when I talk to other founders, and when I talk to other specific Black founders, I'm like, "Listen, you're going to have your down days. Like Don said, It is going to be stressful. Sometimes you're going to fake it till you make it. But as long as you don't quit, and as long as you have resources like us and Start Engine and all these other people, you'll get through it, and you're going to be shocked on the other side. And you're going to say, it wasn't as hard as I made it out to be in my mind. And I think that's the case with a lot of things we as entrepreneurs and just we as people in general, we do. So you spoke to it. So thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we face so much bias that as people of color, we that whole Black excellence thing came about because we literally cannot pass as a mediocre white guy. Like, we have to have that A+ to be seen and to be accepted and to go forward. And last
Yeah.
year around this time, um, my co-founder decided he was going to move to Africa. We were pivoting a company. We were trying to figure out how we were going to raise money on this new position. And I could have taken all of those things, right, and think, oh, let me just get myself together. Let me get this A+ together and then go out and raise capital. But I was just like, you know what? I'm going to have the same confidence that, a lot of them mediocres have, and they go out and raise money on a paper napkin idea. And I had built so much more than that. And I'd been in the game so much longer than that. So I think sometimes we discredit ourselves because of bias, that, we don't move forward because we think we have to have all these ducks in the row. Oftentimes they don't even have a duck. So I would encourage anybody to just say it with your chest. And, if it's a paper napkin idea, move forward with that.
Yep.
Jillian, any questions still come in from the audience?
Yes, we do have one question. Let me just grab it here. The question that we had, one second, I'm getting text messages. So the question is for Chloe. Chloe, does your company have space for building communities of wealth and bringing more equity, or is it geared more towards other areas of inequity like oppression, racial injustice?
Yeah, so I actually answered this in the Q&A, but so we span the social impact spectrum, whether the issue has to do with the climate or human rights, poverty, education. We do currently have communities for Black entrepreneurship and economic development, but if there are communities that we're missing, you can again go to the website communityx.tech to vote for the ones that you want to see, and we'll be sure to include those in the March release.
Awesome. So we're going to be wrapping up. I would like for each panelist to leave some lasting words. If there's something that someone is starting their own business, they don't know about startup, what nugget would you leave them with? Chloe, since you're on the camera, go ahead and give your last comments.
Yeah, I would just say that all of this really means nothing without a solid valuation. And that's what we really got by doing our campaign with Start Engine, was we got the valuation that I don't think we would have gotten anywhere else. And that really served as a launching pad for us and set us up for success. And since then, we've brought in like investors like former NBA player Baron Davis and others who have invested at that valuation. So that's my closing remark. Really, really, really important.
Chloe, how about Dr. Ahmad?
So I would say, kind of echoing what everyone has kind of said today, right? Do not be afraid to get out there and take a couple of swings. It is difficult. I mean, cards face up. There will be a lot of times when you will say, I don't know what they're asking me for, right? I have given them every rock, every piece of paper. I don't know what I'm asking for. But on the other side of it is so rewarding, because you will know, as Ray eloquently said, you will know everything about your business. You'll be able to do like Chloe did and go and like Tamar said, and hold your chest kind of out and say, hey, the number is the number, right? You can debate something else, but the number is the number. And so it'll be difficult, but do it. You got to get out there and take some chances, because if we don't, we will forever be doomed to be employees.
All right. Tamar, thank you, Doctor.
I would say to, so I guess there's like a couple of audiences, but I would say to the founders out there, people thinking about entrepreneurship, you really just don't know until you go. You can sit and write a business plan for days. and think through it. But until you actually like go out and find these communities, until you actually like build that product, or figure out how to build that product, the story and the parts and the things that you need are just not going to show up from where you are. And the second part is, for people who, are looking at Start Engine as an investment opportunity. I think the best advice I've heard from like one of my investors is, she literally, I met her through Instagram, and she was like, I'm going to invest on Friday when I get paid. And she was like, and then she said, I literally had to just pack my lunch for the week and not eat out, just so that I can invest in your company. So when we're looking for those ways to kind of create equity for ourselves, like, I can't afford it, or I'm going to, just kind of invest this money and forget about it. I thought it was very interesting how she thought of something that she was willing to sacrifice for participating in Mental Happy's long game. So 2 pieces of advice there.
All right, good. All right, thank you, Ray.
Tamar, man, you nailed it. It's 2 audiences, right? For those entrepreneurs out there, I would say, hey, start. We will be here waiting for you. We will share everything that we know and what we've learned. You're not doing this alone. There's going to be ups and downs, but this is why we do this. We do this here because there are people who paved the way for us, and we're going to do the same. For those people just in the community who, whether you work for Amazon or whatever company you work for, we are here because we're going to do it. We can do it much faster and on a larger scale with your help. And so I do think that it takes a community, it takes all of us together. And I think all of us are here for the long game. We want to pass it down. We want to create a legacy. And so to both of those groups, let's start. We're here. Let's start. That's it.
Thank you, Ray. All right, Dawn.
I would say start to get ready before you even need to raise. So start to build your community, start to create your email list, start to think about, preparing for your campaign before you need to go live, because it does take, I say, spend about 3 months preparing to go live, preparing your marketing materials, engaging your community, getting people prepared. That's the real thing that happens, because a lot of people think you just go on Start Engine, it's live and it's ready, if you're going to just invest. Start Engine does help you promote your offering, but you have to promote it yourself to get to a certain milestone before it'll really kick in. So engaging your community from day one is really, really important. So I say get your social media aligned, position yourself as a thought leader, start doing reach out to podcasts and blogs, and just have your media and your marketing in queue. So when you do get approved and you're going through due diligence, your marketing is already planned ahead, because that is really a part that people don't focus on. They're focused on trying to get approved and be compliant, and then their marketing just doesn't happen. I believe that's why many campaigns do not reach their maximum, because they weren't fully prepared for the market.
Thank you, Dawn. All right, Isaac.
Yeah, I can echo what Dawn was saying. I think in the space where I was, I built an MVP. I learned how to use Keynote. I built my own deck. You really have to learn as much as you can about your business. I had created a convertible note term sheet. Like, I had started to learn about the process in so many different ways, because most of us are creative people with an idea, right? But there's so much more that goes to building a company and taking on investors. And so the more you know, the more prepared you are for the opportunity, like Start Engine. Like I say, success is a simple algorithm. It's when opportunity meets preparation. And when the opportunity to join Start Engine was presented, I was prepared. I had so much that I did know. I did have shares in my company. I had incorporated, I had made my company a Delaware C Corp. I had done all these things that I know. I sought some good legal advice on how to structure my company and so on and so forth. So you have to really put in the work, because if you really want to take it to the next level, you're going to have to know those things. And the more you know before you get to Start Engine, the better. It makes the process a lot easier and smoother, and it's a great adjustment to do that. So absolutely learn as much as you can about your business beyond the product, but the actual structure of your company. Think about the future, where you want to go. Do I want to exit? Do I want to IPO? Do I want to build this to a point where I just, sell it or whatever? So I think just learn as much as you can about the business before you really take a leap like this.
Ooh, wow, thank you, Isaac. I mean, you all fantastic. Thank you so much. Every one of you has said something that I'm sure touched and resonated with each of our audience members. I know it resonated with me, and my task was to identify 3, and I can't. so if I had to point out a few, I mean, I'm thinking of the long game, things that resonate with me. The long game, the assets, get assets. Knowledge, that you close out with knowledge and knowing your business, that knowledge and preparation. So again, there's so many things you all talked about that we are so grateful that we've had this opportunity with you. So team, folks out there listening, you notice we call them founders. We didn't just call them leaders. They are founders. These founders are living, making history right now or every day. You are witnessing greatness. Mark this in your calendar that you were a part of this, that they sowed a seed into your life that is going to bloom. So, hey, founders, we can't thank you enough. We appreciate you. You are so inspiring. God bless you and God keep you. And with that, I'm honored to be a part of this. And Jillian, I will hand over to you to bring us home. But thank you, everyone.
All right. Well, thank you again to our founders. I want to say thank you. I learned so much as well. I want to thank Afori, Anita, Anaki, for the members of MERGE, Multicultural Employee Research Group for Equity, which includes, again, volunteers from Amazon, Accenture. Somebody mentioned it takes all of us. So when we talked about putting this event together, it is not just Amazon putting this event together. It's Amazon, Accenture, Denso, Ford, GM, Microsoft, Stellantis, and Verizon for collaborating on this event. So I have just a few call to actions. If you are a founder, get your products or your services on Start Engine, right? Start Engine will allow you to, your friends, your family, and your fans to invest in your business immediately. If you are on Clubhouse, many of us are on Clubhouse. If you have your iPhone, if you got your Android, you can't. But if you have an iPhone, you can. Start Engine has a club or a club called $1 Billion Exit. They have weekly pitches. Email pr@senseicommunications.com. Anita, if you could put that information in there. I was on it last night. Mr. Wonderful, Kevin O'Leary, was on there from Shark Tank, and the founder of Start Engine was on there. So if you want to get your pitch, that's a great place to be on. Last but not least, I would be remiss if I don't mention Amazon and all the different resources we have. So if you're interested in building an Alexa fund, if you just want information on AWS startup, or if you just want information on resources and support from Amazon and AWS, please go to merge.com on our contact page, and the subject line just say interested. So that means you're interested in everything that I just talked about. With that, again, thank you for joining our Black Founders event. And we just want to thank all the panelists and everyone that joined us. So if there's nothing else, Afori, Anita, Anaki.
3 words to say: invest in Popcom.
Invest in Popcom. Yes. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining. Shout out for Detroit Ben and all the Ben chapters and everyone else. Bye-bye.
All right, guys.
Bye-bye.